The smell of engine oil and fresh paint hung in the air as bright showroom lights gleamed off polished chrome. Inside the Mercedes truck dealership, executives in sharp suits and heels laughed softly over their coffee. Then the glass doors opened, and in stepped a ragged old man. His beard was long and white, his cap torn at the edge. His shirt carried stains of countless days and nights on the road. He looked like a ghost from another time, a man utterly out of place in a palace of luxury. But what no one knew was that this one moment would change everything. Harold Brinley walked slowly, his boots scraping the tiled floor, his worn backpack slung over one shoulder. A few mechanics looked up. The women at the front desk exchanged puzzled glances. The manager, Miranda Hale, silver-haired, confident, and impeccably dressed, raised an eyebrow as the old man's eyes wandered across the room. He stopped beside the largest white truck, placed his calloused hand on the cool chrome grille, and whispered as if greeting an old friend. "She's a beauty," he said softly. Then, in a gravelly voice that carried across the showroom, "I'll take 5 of these." The words hung in the air like an absurd joke. Julia, the young new receptionist, stifled a laugh. The others didn't bother to hide theirs. Miranda smirked. "Sir, these aren't bicycles," she said dryly. "Each one costs more than most people make in a lifetime." Harold simply nodded, calm and steady. "I know," he said. "And I'll take 5. Voiceover cue. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us never to judge too quickly, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. It helps more people see stories that move the heart. Back in the showroom, laughter echoed. But something about Harold's quiet certainty unsettled Miranda. There was no arrogance in his eyes, no confusion, just peace. "Sir," she said, forcing a polite tone, "perhaps you're in the wrong place. There's a used vehicle lot down the street." He smiled faintly. "I'm in the right place," he said, adjusting the strap on his backpack. "Maybe you're just seeing the wrong man." He walked toward the coffee corner, pouring himself a small paper cup of water. No one noticed how steady his hands were, the hands of a man who'd handled heavy machines all his life. No one knew those same hands had once steered convoys through desert wars, rebuilt engines from scraps, or carried his only son's coffin down a muddy road years ago. His name was Harold Brinley. Once an engineer, a soldier, a husband, life had taken everything from him. His wife, Clara, had died in a hospital he couldn't afford. His small trucking business was swallowed by corporate sharks. In a single year, Harold went from a respected businessman to sleeping in his old workshop, using his backpack as a pillow. But Harold never quit. He believed in the road, that long, endless path that could lead anywhere. If you just kept walking. For 5 years, he saved every cent, repairing trucks by the roadside, sleeping in abandoned garages, eating from vending machines. Quietly, he built a dream no one believed in anymore. A transport company run by people who'd lost everything. Veterans, single mothers, the homeless. Anyone who just needed a chance to stand again. He called it Second Route Logistics. And today, it would be born. Miranda had returned to her paperwork when Harold appeared again, holding out a neat stack of documents. "Here's my purchase order," he said. She blinked. It looked official, stamped, signed, and complete. Julia leaned over and read aloud, "Second Route Logistics Incorporated." Miranda frowned. "Who authorized this?" "Our finance division will need—" She froze mid-sentence, the signature at the bottom. She recognized it. The regional head of Mercedes Commercial Partnerships. Her eyes widened. How did you get this?" Harold smiled faintly. "He was my student once," he said. "Back when I taught mechanical logistics. I fixed his trucks before he had a company to run." Silence fell. The laughter from earlier now felt heavy, shameful. Julia looked down. Serena, the third woman, stepped forward. "Mr. Brinley, I'm so sorry we—" Harold raised a hand gently. "No need," he said. "You were only doing what the world teaches us, to see with eyes, not with heart." The next hour was a blur. Calls, verifications, signatures. Everything checked out. The payment was real. Harold wasn't some delusional wanderer. He wasn't buying 5 trucks to boast. He was building a future. Later that afternoon, as the lights softened and the showroom emptied, Harold walked toward the delivery bay. Miranda followed him quietly. "You know," she said after a pause, "I judged you the moment you walked in. I saw your clothes, your hands, that old backpack, and I thought you were just another man with a dream too big for reality." Harold looked at her and smiled. "Dreams don't get smaller because people stop believing," he said. "They just wait for the right hands to build them again." He glanced at the gleaming trucks lined up like sentinels. "These machines will feed families. They'll carry hope from one town to another. That's worth more than pride, don't you think?" For the first time in years, Miranda's eyes softened. "It is," she whispered. The next morning, the 5 trucks rolled out, driven by men and women who had been sleeping in shelters just days earlier. The whole town stopped to watch. Word spread quickly about the ragged old man who walked into a Mercedes showroom and bought 5 trucks to rebuild lives, not fortunes. A week later, the showroom received a handwritten note. It read, "Thank you for the laughter. It reminded me how far I've come. Maybe kindness doesn't start with believing in others, but in giving them a chance to prove you wrong. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, where real stories remind us that compassion still changes the world. Before we end, tell us in the comments. If you were Miranda that day, would you have laughed too? Or listened a little closer? Because sometimes the most extraordinary souls walk in wearing torn clothes and leave behind lessons that shine brighter than chrome.